Okay, let's see if the problems we were having with the stream and that I was having locally with the graphics have gone away. Did a restart. I'm wondering if it had anything to do with the fact I'd been streaming for the last something's up. The force feedback is really stiff, which makes me think the wheel didn't initialize properly. Which is going to make this interesting. So, see, we just have challenge after challenge. And the last thing I need is to get used to driving the car with Hulk-like force feedback on. We just need a break. Okay, but the stutters have gone.
We're going to be pitching here probably in about 4.
Don't know if the stutters have gone on the stream, but they've definitely gone on the screen. But I've got ridiculous force feedback. The steering wheel in the reboot seems to have come back, and it's not initialized properly. I don't want to turn it down in game because when I come to drive tomorrow, it's going to reinitialize properly, and then the steering's going to feel uber light. But see, I'm talking just like I was before, which is usually difficult for me and driving this car. The steering's trying to kick my butt. But just without the stutters in the graphics, all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, he can actually drive this car, because we thought he was just like, you know, full of all sorts, because we were just watching him and he couldn't navigate the track to save his life. Although we did just see a stutter. Okay, I need to what normally works? Okay, normally if I go into options, okay, did that work? I don't think so. No, yeah, it worked. For some reason, it's the same with sound. Okay, so let's not be a hypocrite. There you go. For some reason, let's get the chat window back up. Just going into the options menu and coming back out fixes stuff. Well, no, the steering's still heavy. Last turn, biggest issue. Yeah, I'm going to actually, it's a good point. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect the wheel. Okay, so where's the USB? Actually, no, let's just take the power out. Power mark, not. Okay. Boo boo. And. Boo boo. I have no idea what goes on in the USB bus, but if it's not the steering wheel, it's the pedals. If it's not the pedals, it's the headset. Robbo, the last turn here. Let's see if there's anyone in who wasn't here before. Hi, Pork Chop. Hi, Turbo Stig Racing. Yeah, I'll show you. So look out for it, but I'll show you. Now, when I first came here, a few seasons ago, they did a run through of the lap in the development series, OSR development series, and even though I watched the lap, listened to the instructions, when it came to actually driving the car, oh yeah, steering's fixed, I'd forget the tip for the last turn, and I'd drive in deep, so I'd do things like this, deep into the braking zone, and wonder why I end up off the track. Now the faster drivers can brake much deeper than I can and still get the car to hit the apex. I don't know how the hell they do it, but that's why they're them and that's why I'm me. But for me, and I can only say for me, my technique in this car, which has served me pretty well, is I give up anything in the braking zone. I don't care. If you can brake later than me, do it. You deserve to in front of me. But when it comes to braking, the sooner I brake, the earlier. So like here, start braking, lift off, and then let the nose actually go to the apex. It seems slower, but it's that old adage, slow in, fast out. You'll be surprised how much more time you make up on the lap. Again, down here, earlier. There's no point going in deeper, because you do that, you miss the apex. No, I missed it because the car skidded a little bit. That happens to lots of people here as well. You know you want to wind on the power as you come out of turn 1, but the car starts bucking around like a Bronco, so you try and stick with it and then it spits you off the track. The amount of times you see a car up there, you wonder what the hell are they doing up on the bank, and it's just because they okay. Remind me to change. I don't know. I'm asking you to remind me. I need to remind myself. I need to change my brake bias in the setup, because you want to be able to get the car to stop at the end of the straights, but you want to be able to trail brake a bit to get the nose there, right on the apex, and then squeeze it out slowly, and you just carry the speed down the straight. So again, I'm going to hit the apex this time by braking here, early. Hello, apex. And then get the steering straight. And just keep your foot to the floor after squeezing on it, not jamming. Again, early. Missed that apex. I missed that apex because I went for a second bite on the brake. Early, off, just turn, coast in. Let's give him the track because he looks like he's in a hurry.
Left side. Clear.
And through here, you want to get the weight shifted so the car just keeps turning. And you literally balance the car with your right foot. Every acceleration point on this track and hit the apex is squeeze it. See, if you watch the throttle trace, if you watch anybody drive this car, you'll see straight away who's going to get on top of it and who's going to struggle. And the people that figure out, okay, I didn't brake enough, that you squeeze the throttle on like that, are the ones who then start screaming that this car is a brilliant car. The ones who try and apply the power like it's a Z4 think it's the worst thing ever. You went off, come on, give me the track.
On your right. Clear.
The worst thing that was ever put into the sim. So yeah, so brake early everywhere. The earlier you brake, the earlier you can come off the brakes a bit. Let's give him the track as well. The earlier you can come off the brakes a bit, and as you ease off the brakes, the car stops ploughing because it doesn't like braking, it doesn't like coasting. It's kind of likes being on the gas, but it just, if you don't do anything with it, it'll just understeer off the track. So you need to do it all early, back the corner up. People will think that they need to go into the braking zone and brake deeper. But you don't. You just have to get out of the turns. And when you come out, you squeeze the gas. Let it start turning, squeeze it, let it turn, balance it, and at times when it starts to oversteer, just shift up. Just short shift, there's so much torque in the car. Use it. Damn, hit the brake. See? All I did was, now if that had been a, okay, where's he going?
One off course.
If that had been a Z4, a roof, well not the roof actually, Z4, anything like that, as the car starts sliding away from the apex, you could just brake a little bit and bring it back. In this, you brake a little bit and it just understeer. Hell. So the sooner you brake, the sooner you can start turning in. If you can start turning in, you can start turning in, carrying more corner speed and take it through the apex. It's not about jamming your foot down, it's about understanding the difference between this car. Don't hit the brake mark, you idiot. See? I'm still driving as though I'm in Assetto Corsa. And that's why I needed to do some laps before I called it a night. Otherwise, I'd be locked in to those inputs. Although, there's also an equal chance if I'd have just...
Got one in the dirt, coming back on. Stay
Right.
on your toes. Keep coming.
gone to sleep, I'd have woke up and just kind of rebooted. The first sim I went on would be the one I remembered. I'm on the brakes too long. So yeah, I can understand people not liking the car or the track, but you can probably see straight away the difference in how I'm driving this to how I was butchering the cars around Monza. See, off the gas, all of a sudden I make an apex without touching the brake. And okay, let's see if we can put a lap in. I went back to the brake. It's because it's instinctive rather than conscious thought, and I've spent too long today cheating on iRacing with Assetto Corsa. That's why I envy all those aliens that can just jump from sim to sim, car to car. Oh, we are out of fuel. Okay. So let me check the chat rather than ramble to myself. Yeah, it really works. That it sounds like people. Hi, Strebo, and hi, Fernando. It sounds like people are being really condescending to you when they say it, but they're not. Being fast in this car is difficult. Being competitive in this car is relatively simple, but you have to be disciplined. And that's why I like it, because as you saw, me trying to be flamboyant is a disaster. Although, to be fair, those of you that saw the BMW will remember that it wasn't an absolute nightmare. It was actually quite fun. Whereas this car, tiptoe. And there are a lot of people that think the way you have to drive this is unrealistic. And as soon as you say that, especially if you say it in the forum, so yeah, tip, don't go into the V8 forums bad mouthing the car. Ooh, no, bad idea. If you go into any forum on iRacing where the car is, I'm going to call it a niche car. There are going to be iRacers that racing. No, it's not a niche car, but it is. Unless you're Australian, maybe US, and some of us European drivers that haven't got enough sense to drive something that's got a higher participation, you're likely on the Australian servers. But yeah, you go in and you say it's unrealistic, and then you'll get bombarded with YouTube footage after YouTube footage. And Apex, see? Yeah, footage after footage of real life foot cam, and you'll see actually it is realistic. You have to baby the throttle, baby the brake. It just looks like the car is being hustled from the outside, whereas inside the cabin it's like treading on glass. They're really gentle with their throttle and brake inputs. Even when the car's doing that, sliding, they're not jamming their foot on the throttle. Okay, we're going to go into the trees. It's just because the weight in the car No, literally every track in this car I drive like this. It's why I'm not the fastest, but if again, that's not a good optimal for, well, yeah. See, if I put my lap together, I will be third in this session. And if you look on iRacing and you look at the stats for each week, you'll see that normally I can qualify around top 50. However, if I actually nailed my optimals, I'd be probably top 25-ish. And that's just because the car rewards different styles. Some people can hustle it. That's just because they've got more talent than is fair. Don't come on. I always say that like they can hear me. Please don't come on. I do that on the motorway as well. You know, when you're at the merge lanes and you've got someone that you think, oh, you're going to come on the motorway and do something crazy, please don't do it. I talk to them like they can hear me. So if you're watching this back later, Paul, I'm sorry, I was just being a bit of a wuss. But yeah, every track in this car, be gentle with it. Respect it. It looks, when you see the replays, like the car is really having its neck wrung. And it's not. Like out here, it will look like the car's moving around, and it will, because you're squeezing the throttle in and trying to stop the car wheel spin, bounce off the bumps. But you can see on the webcam, I'm being as gentle as I can with finite inputs. Whereas if you compare it to, again, we won't speak about the horror show that was, yeah, I was all over the place. Well, I'll try and get sorted, because I'm still getting on top of this streaming through OBS with a webcam lark. Before it was just screen capture. I'll try and figure out how to get... Okay, now you need to let me have the hairpin. Oh, Mark, you missed your breaking point. I'll try and figure out how to get my camcorder, the GoPro, to stream, so I can capture it in the stream as well. And you'll see how gentle I am with the brake and the throttle. Well, it feels gentle. I'll probably see footage of it and realise actually I'm stomping on the brake. But I keep going on and on about it this season. But I remember when when I first started driving the car, I just drove it the way I drove everything in sim racing since I started, and that's left foot braking. You know, so you can trail brake, and all of the good advice that is still true of you want to minimize the time between transitioning from brake to throttle. However, I was rushing the car, and I found it really difficult to okay, stayed on the brake too long there, that's my fault. I found it really difficult. There are moments in this car where I don't want to be on the brake or the throttle at all, because instead we've dialed oversteer into the setup through the suspension and roll bars, so if you now come off, it will turn off the power, that is. Whereas left foot braking, I would still have some brake percentage in just by my foot resting on the brake, or I'd still have some throttle in, and it meant that I was missing apexes all the time, or that I was inducing understeer into the car all the time, and I was just losing time and getting frustrated. So I remember watching one of the V8's Online's America's broadcasts, and they were talking to Bo. Okay, now was it Cubis or Cattell? I think it was Bo Cubis, but I could be wrong. Could be Cattell. And they said, "Well, your car's all over the place." But he said, "Well, he right foot brakes," and I remember off the brake mark. See, I have to tell myself to come off the brake because it doesn't feel natural. But whilst you're on it, the car just understeers. But yeah, I was also doing some practice laps around Bathurst when it first came out, and David Massou was lapping at some ridiculous rate, and he shared his setup, and he said, "Yep, he right foot brakes," and Bo said, "Yep, he right foot brakes."
There's a forward sit up soon.
So this season, well, middle of last year, I stopped left foot braking and retrained myself to right foot brake, which sounds weird, but right foot braking felt really weird in the sim. But what it meant was my left foot's doing nothing. It's never on any pedal other than at the start when it's on the clutch. But what it meant was it was easier to slow down my transitions from brake to throttle, and it also meant because I was having to lift my foot fully off, I had to consciously be more careful about putting it back down. Now I'm lapping really slow because I'm talking, so I'm gonna put it in the fence. That wasn't on purpose, but I'm gonna claim it was. Read the chat, and then I'm gonna try and do a 3-lap stint without talking and see if I can actually get in the zone. But yeah, so now I right foot brake in this car, and it means that when I'm coming off the brake, I have to be really gentle with it. And then when I'm getting on the gas, because I'm moving my foot from left to right, I have to be gentle getting back on it. But it means that there's a waiting time in between transitioning. And with this car and the old car, especially with this one, when you asked anybody what were the characteristics they noticed about it, one of the things they mentioned was that, yeah, you have to brake early, and then at the apex, wait. You've got to wait for the car, and then wait some more, and then wait, and then wait, and then slowly get on the power. Now, you can do that, not do that, you can mix it up however you like. However, for me, it works if I can get off the brake, so get enough speed off earlier, and then coast through the apex a little bit, and then tap the power slightly to start to shift the weight to induce that oversteer, and then squeeze it in. So if you watch the throttle brake inputs, you'll see they should be really gradual, and that's at every track I do that. Heel and toe, not really. I do blip the throttle. That's why I need to get the webcam down there. So you don't need to use the clutch in this car. You don't need to use the clutch at all. So there, I am blipping the. Don't need a second. I am blipping the throttle on the downshift with the outside of my right foot. So technically, that would be what you would be doing heel and toeing. But I don't need to use my heel. It's the side of my foot. But with this car, unlike the old FG01, whoa.
Slow down.
First of all, you can do stuff like that. You can save it. This one actually will let you get away. Don't take liberties, but it will let you get away with missing the blip on the downshift sometimes. And it might well be, again, because I'm off the power and off the brake, so the engine speed's in the right range. But there have been times in races where I've missed the blip on the downshift and it's still shifted down and it hasn't kicked the back out. Okay, I'm going to shut up for a second. I shifted up too soon. I think I did hit the tail barriers. Shifted up too soon. I got on the power too early in turn 1, so I pushed myself away from it. After making the apex, I pushed myself away from the apex. And that's why I got that little wiggle when I got on the power. How do I blip with the right foot brake? As in the same way you would do it with heel and toe. So technically it's heel and toe, but if you saw okay, hold on, let me share this. 2 seconds, I'll share this. But the baseline yesterday, people were doing 110s in the baseline. Shared. And that's something else about this car. The setups will help you, and sometimes if the setup is a bit of a pig, someone else's will really help you. But I haven't done it yet at this track, but because so much of it is how you drive the car, you can get to within that 2 seconds off the fastest times, or 2.5 seconds off the fastest times with the baseline. See there, again, put a wheel in the dirt, so the car starts to slide through the turn. And there again, but I'm not on any pedal. I'm still trying to be gentle. And if you were to look at that from outside the car, you'd think, wow, look at him trying to get a Larry drift on. Hello, yep. I didn't see the beginning of that message. I only saw Mark A. Warmington.
Very slow on the right.
Sorry, I didn't see what you said before my name, but yeah, I've shared a setup for the Holden. Brake. Nice and gentle. Hello, apex. Squeeze it, straighten the steering.
Got one off the track in front of you.
As long as he stays off the
Keep
track.
going.
Early. Off, turn in. Got my line all wrong through there. You have to hit your apexes in this car. So yeah, so technically you'd call it heel and towing, but I'd be embarrassed to call it that. But yeah, I'm using my right foot to brake and blip the throttle. But you can get away with a tiny blip in this car now. It's almost a nominal blip. So keep the rolling momentum in the car, keep it moving forwards. No pedal inputs other than throttle. Earlier you can get off the brake, the earlier it will turn in and take the apex. See, he broke later, but he was nowhere near the apex. And there you go. See, fighting the car from the moment he left the apex, because his angle on exit was too tight. And the car doesn't like doing two things at the same time. Missed the apex. So it's going to cost me. And brake light, be gentle. See, I lost at least half a second in that lap. Stayed on the brake too long, did you see? Okay, let's check the chat. Yeah, side of the foot still heel and toe, so yeah. I left foot brake sometimes if I go back to the GT cars. But I've just found it might be subliminal, but I've found that I've become much more consistent in this car and more confident in this car since I moved to the right foot braking. And part of it was I just changed my whole style. Yeah, what are you doing? I changed, when I say whole style, the way that I would use the brakes and the gas. Before, I didn't realise I was doing it until who was it that spotted it? David Williams, one of the UK aliens, when we were doing some practice for the World Cup. Was it 2013 in the HPD at Road America, and he noticed in my replays that I was throttle braking. I was dragging the throttle still when braking. So people do it in, which car do they do it in? I think they do it in the Star Mazda. So because the car is so pitch sensitive, when you come on and off the brakes and stuff, it does weird things. It oversteers. So to avoid it, you'll brake, but you'll keep about 5% throttle in to keep the car under control. So like if you think about F1 over the last decade, with all of the Venturi effects through the rear diffuser, especially Vettel, where they talk about how would keep the car under control on the brakes by putting some exhaust gas through it. It's kind of like that. So I was using the accelerator to keep the nose under control, but I was doing it in every car and I didn't realise. And that's because I was left foot braking. And whilst it was helping in those slids, so I've lost about 3/10. Whilst it was helping in those high downforce cars that were doing that, it wasn't helping me in tin tops. And also the other thing I had to change was I'm inherently someone that prefers a car that understeers. I like the confidence that the nose isn't going to move around on me, but that's slower. It just is, unless you're really good and you can drive and you just have the talent to drive around it. It means your car's taking less corner speed through the apex. So I used to struggle a lot at Phillip Island, but I'd always be like 2-3 seconds off, whereas normally I'm 1.5 seconds off. And this year I borrowed Philip Johansson of Just for Fun Racing, his setup. He shared it because everyone will share, and his was set up with some serious oversteer. It was his setup for Road America. And so what I did was, for once in my life, decided just try it and get used to it. And what it meant was I had to be more gentle with the throttle and the brake, be more finite with the steering. But I found that because I wasn't left foot braking anymore, it was actually, I say easier in the loosest sense of the word, because I was concentrating more on the steering, and I was letting the car rotate itself rather than cranking in steering. Okay, let me concentrate and do this lap. Someone just shut my door. Literally just pulled the door in, because I'm obviously making too much noise. But I looked out the corner of my eye in mid-apex, which was a bad idea.
Right side.
Okay.
Clear.
So yeah, even if you ask Madison, he'll tell you, Madison Down, for everyone that doesn't follow the V8 Supercar series or has been living under an iRacing rock. Someone asked in the forums this season for advice, and again he was like, people just stamp on the throttle far too much, you've got to be gentle with it, and it's hard for people to believe that you've got to underdrive this car. That's how I describe it, rather than overdrive it and hustle it. It just, if you hear the tyres squealing, you're losing time. It's the same for any car, but for this one, it seems so pronounced. If you miss the apex, forget about it. You just lost 0.3 or half a second. So if you're 2 seconds down, you're not actually that far off. You'll find a lot of it is just in how you approach certain turns. I mean, I'm not sure, is iSpeed updating for you? I'll check in a second. But if you can see how I'm making or losing time, there, I hesitated, lost time. And if you brake too deep, all you do is take yourself away from the apex. And also, if you brake too deep, well, if I brake too deep, it means I stay on the brake too long, which takes me away from the apex. See, did anyone else note that last lap seems so slow, yet still fastest lap I've done this session? because the car was under control, it was moving forwards, it was hitting apexes, driving off the turns. That was always going to happen. But yeah, let's have a look. It is really easy to clip grass, but again, that's why it's so important to. Let me check. That should be working now. That's why it's so important to get on top of your throttle control. If you do anything in this car, you need to figure out. Hi Delilah Kitty, hi Barkster, hi Swanky Juicer. Okay, that's the username. Yeah, if you do anything in this car to try and help yourself feel more comfortable and improve, exercise that throttle control and braking. Don't worry about the setup yet. Don't worry about do you have the fastest setup. Just turn laps anyway and pick a track you like. Pick a track you like and then just keep running laps there. So you're not trying to concentrate on the track and which way the car should or shouldn't be going. You have to learn how to drive the car in the V8. You can't drive it the same way you drive it in, say, the Lotus 79. Lotus 79 is an amazing car as well. You can drive it with your left foot, but you just have to, again, be really left foot braking. That is, you again just have to be really conscious of what you're doing. When I drove the 79, again, I wasn't the greatest. I'm sure I left foot broke. Because the game lets you blip the throttle and kind of cheat. The braking is really clunky in some cars if you haven't got a clutch or you don't use it. But my pedals aren't secured to my wheel stand, so driving a car that requires the clutch is difficult, because when I squeeze the clutch, the back of the pedals come up, because I can't fix them to the floor, I can't fix them to the wheel stand. So that's also one of the reasons why the right foot braking I'm using at the moment works for me, is because I pretty much hold the foot plate of my pedals in place with my left foot. And there are times when you see me squinting in the braking zone, and possibly if I were to actually look at my braking inputs, I'm probably squeezing harder than I think I am, but I kind of balance my body with my left foot on the plate. So the same way if you're driving an automatic and you rest your left foot up on the bulkhead of the car and push on it to keep yourself comfortable, seat smooth. Missed the apex, and I missed the apex because, again, lack of confidence. I didn't think I'd scrubbed enough speed off. I didn't think the car was going to turn in. I think that was a follow. Thank you very much if it was. I find it difficult to look down on my iPad. I need to do something so I can see notifications up in front of me, because every time I look down to the right, you've seen what happens. I go off track. Okay. Things like that really annoys me.
So, Mr. Walter?
Hey Mark, Merry Christmas. Um, I still do it to this day, and I think it's the reason why I'm still 1.5 seconds off every week. Um, I know I've broken enough. I know the car's going to turn. I just don't trust myself, so I stay on the brake a little longer, half a second more, or I forget. I think I'm in a car of high downforce or a GT, and the car doesn't look like it's slowing down because I broke too late and I'm moving away from the
What's that
apex.
set of yours like with fuel load?
Um, Pretty much the same. Just you have to take, I think, 4 clicks out of the tyres. It's the same set that I ran for Phillip Island and Road America. It's the set Philip Johansson shared.
So what was that you were just said you were doing with the tyres?
Um, because the one I shared is the qualifying version, there's not much difference in it. So the tyres are inflated a bit more. So for the race set, you would just take about 3 rounds of PSI out of each tyre. Okay, so what's the time? Oh, it's only 5 to midnight. Wow. Okay, so what I'll do, I'm just going to jump into another session for 5-10 minutes and then I'm calling it a night. I'm just going to jump in. So let me show you that lap, because
Yeah, no worries, mate.
it was the fastest, but smoothest. But if you watch it from the outside, you think, yeah, the car's rock solid. Yeah, I think it was only those rally nutters that used their actual heel. Let's see who else we have. Hi, King Ollie. Robbo. So we've got 69-year-old gamer. Feb. See, that gives me faith I'll still be doing this when I'm 69. Delilah Kitty, King Ollie 1, Luger UK's been in here all week. Porkchop Paulie, Robbo 898, Strebo, and Swanky Juicer. Swanky Juicer has possibly got to be the most interesting gamer tag I've ever seen. It just raises connotations. So see that lap, it's all about just being smooth with the car. Let me get into another session. Okay, so it's Christmas Day, move into Boxing Day, or it's Boxing Day for some of you already. Let's just... Okay, I'm going to pick an empty one and a Euro one, just in case the ping is much better. It should be. Sorry, I get really thirsty when thirsty with an F. Thirsty. Yep, that's definitely a compliment, Swanky Juicer. It even sounds kind of wrong saying it. Yeah, I'm quite sure that Swanky Juicer is completely and utterly innocent. It just, yeah, you'll have to explain where Swanky Juicer came from. Okay, so oh, hi, is that Co-Shed? thanks for the follow. Yeah, people don't understand. I was having to explain to some friends today, my friends' nephews, why I don't have time in my life to devote endless hours to box sets, or the biggest, brightest, latest HBO or Sky Atlantic or Fox or whatever offering, because what with work, and sometimes I do ridiculous hours, or come home after work after doing 8-9 hours, log in and still continue working. I have to be really picky, as I'm sure everyone else does, with what I do with my spare time, the few hours I get. And since sim racing is my hobby of choice, and it has been really ever since I can remember, for me to be reasonably okay, so you've seen it, you've seen how many laps I've had to do to be, I have to dedicate my free time to practice. I can't just jump into a car and be fast. I can't just turn up at a track and race. And I was explaining it to them. I even sent them some of the videos from this week just to show them what I get up to. And it's only now that I've hit 40 that I don't even pretend at work. Whoa, took my eye off. See, I had a notification pop up on the iPad. Took my eye off the road, clipped the curb. Ooh, off the road. And that's all she wrote. But yeah, to explain to them why at 40 I sit hour on end doing this. So whenever I see someone who does the same and has a few years on me, it fills me with joy that I can still be doing this for as long as my bones will let me. Okay, I'm gonna take some of my own advice, and for some of those turns where I was taking it in second gear, some of those really tight turns, I'm gonna see if I can do it in third and remove some of the wheel spin and just let the torque drag me out of the turn. Because I'm sure that's how I did it when I was here before, and it meant I could squeeze a little firmer. Ooh, riding on the curb, and get maybe half a second more out of the lap. Nope, but it was slower. Although I say that, it's probably because I messed up in there rather than down there. There are only 3 sectors on this track, so it's really hard. Oh, you muppet. To figure out where you've actually lost the turn, lost the time, which turn it was in. Because there's about 6 turns in each sector. Okay. Let's try a clean lap. And on so many of the, see the grass creep, so many of the turns you can probably take more liberties with, but it'll, on the gas too early mark, it will upset the car, and I don't know whether I'll get a 1X. Okay. Get off the brake. Do it earlier. Get off the brake. Okay, what have I missed? I hear a lot of good things about the DFGT. Loads of people rave about it, and then maybe you say all you need to do is upgrade your pedals. Hi, Swixton. Why do I wear gloves? Wow, okay, who else is in here? Cheech, hey, welcome back. Thanks, Cheech. Gotta say, everything you suggested and advised with regards to the streaming worked perfectly. Thank you very much. Jew Chronic, hey, welcome back, Prior. Team Pancakes are up, and Tone Limone back. Why do I wear gloves? Okay, I don't know if you can see. Okay, let me. Okay, this is going to be really weird. I'm going to try and get close to the webcam and show you. Okay, so look here and here, and where is the good one? Oh, the gloves have been protecting me, so you can't see it that much. Here and here. So that probably didn't work at all on the camera. However, for everybody else who sim races, they've probably already replied to you and say, what do you mean, why does he wear gloves? Of course he wears gloves. Sometimes you hold the wheel so tight, or just because of the where your thumbs are, look, see, like they sit in here. So when the wheel snaps on you, or you're like driving the V8 is a perfect example, because you're forever doing things like that. You're holding the wheel with resistance, trying to stop it snapping and to gently steer. I end up squeezing really tight sometimes. Sometimes it's loose, other times it's really tight. So with the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours that I put into it, I end up with calluses. And some of them hurt. So you'll find that that happens with a lot of racers. So yeah, so you'll find a lot of racers do it. Some don't, and they're perfectly fine. They've got working hands. For us dainty folk who work in offices, to protect us from the calluses, we wear racing gloves. And yeah, there is also the sweating. Yep, and the sweat causes blisters. So all of those things. I used to, let me show you, use my cycling gloves. And they worked a little bit. They protected in here. However, they did nothing for the fingers. So I still end up with those blisters and calluses. And again, you go to work and try and, excuse me, explain to people that you've got calluses because you race online. Again, now I'm old enough, I don't care. That's just what it is. And it's amazing how people stop looking at you like you're weird when you explain that the world champion driver in iRaces gets $10,000, or that in FSR people were paid to drive. Now, It may well be only those illustrious alien folk, but yeah, they stopped looking at me weirdly. And also I noticed they stopped looking at me weirdly when I stopped thinking there was anything to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Muted about. So yeah, let me see if I can. I was going to show you something and I can't remember what it was now. I was going to try third gear, wasn't I? But I think I gave up on that idea. What I really need to do is brake earlier again and get back into that so I nail the lap time. So stayed on the brakes too long because I chickened out. Should have trail braked off. However, with this car and the timer that it's on now, the first lap isn't that killer fast lap anymore, so oh, I can use that grass screen. So my first lap usually isn't my fastest anyway. Have to wait for the tyres to get up to speed. See there, this is really, feels really good through here. Balancing the car on the throttle and it's maintaining momentum, and I'm slowly managing to build up speed. Ooh, but then I had to see it doesn't like doing more than one thing at the same time, so I had some steering locking when the left wheels went up on the curb. Yeah, the wheel gets really shiny. If you, yeah, I really need to put my gloves in the washing machine. Actually, they're let's just say lived in. So one of the funny things I always do is after a session sim racing, I'll go into a populated session in a sec because this must be boring for everybody. But after a session, before I eat anything, you've got to wash your hands because you've no idea how much sweat's been building up in the gloves. But that's probably one of the more unsavory aspects of sim racing. Let's change the topic. So there, momentum, balance the throttle, keep it. The throttle tray should be slowly building all the time, but smoothly. And that's how you actually get the time through that sector. Same with the last turn. I don't know what that was like on... Yeah, see, the last turn's a better example. But it's the same there. And there. So it's almost like you catch the car with the throttle. And balance it. If you do anything overly aggressive, you just messed the car up. Damn it, Mark. See, I didn't hesitate long enough on the throttle. Okay, ugly laps, ugly laps. Okay, so something that usually really helps in this car as well is stick the fuel in. If you're doing your first laps in it and it's just way too difficult, don't take the fuel out. Don't go for the low fuel run. Leave race fuel in there. It gives the car a little bit more solidity, and that makes it even more manageable. And that extra weight makes it easier to get on the power. So you'll see a lot of people. I remember 2013. 2013, I was in a session with Renz Brokeman, and he said he never qualifies with low fuel. He never practices with low fuel. I don't know if he does now, but back then he was like, yeah, I'll do it with the same race fuel. Maybe he just changed his tyre pressures. And so I used to do that all last season, well, all last year. And that's where I got a lot more consistency in the races. I wasn't the greatest qualifier in the world, but in the race I was really, really consistent because that was all I did. And it was just easier to drive the car. And over the race distance, you slowly adjust to the shifting weight as the fuel comes down. Anyway, some people change the ARBs backwards and forwards as the car shifts. I know Trevor Johnson from Apex Racing, he uses the ARBs a lot, but other people, I'm one of them, just goes, whatever happens, happens, I'll just drive around it. Okay, so it's now 1:15, so I'm going to do 15 more minutes and then probably call it a night. One of the reasons in the overlay I put the iSpeed stuff up on the left was so that you could see the sector times and the delta, but so I didn't need to turn it on for myself, because some people just love it. It helps them be consistent and stuff, but for me it just distracts. I find myself reading the delta rather than looking for my apex, and then it'll go green and I'll get distracted thinking, oh, it's gone green, and miss my braking point, or just choke. So through here, what you want to be able to do, I wish I had a camera on my feet, is use the brake and the throttle to steer the car. So get your entry speed right into
Buddy, we're going to pitch in about 4 laps. 4 laps.
Get your entry speed right so that you only have to use a little bit of brake to induce the car to steer, and then a little bit of gas to stop it and get it to steer the other way. Damn it, hit the curb and started bouncing. See? Smooth. Keep the momentum going. I'm way off the times that I need to be at for this week, but if you consider when I was in this session before, I was... where was I? I don't remember where I was. Well, that was a big stutter. At least now, I'm a tenth or two off my PB so far for the week, so I don't feel quite as bad when I go to sleep tonight after the horror show that was at AC. But again, probably you can see, for those of you that have been good enough to keep me company all evening, is that this style of driving, finessing the car, suits me much better than the Ken Brock I'm a multi-talented, multi-gifted genius. I'm just, whoa, I'm just not. So I'm a huge advocate for, okay, when you say iSpeed's failing for you, do you mean as in mine or your own when you're using it? Oh, not sure why that's doing that. I would always just advertise the tried and trusted delete. Well, hi Smittens 86, hi NASCAR 1986. Yeah, the good old uninstall it, reinstall it. So let's try. I would like to get into the tens. I need to get into the tens. Normally, I would be 1.5 seconds off the top times, and consider, let me show you, and consider that being me at my optimal. But at a track like this and Oran Park where it's so small, being one, let's get the stats and show you. Being 1 point whatever seconds off is too far off. And that's my aim. My aim is to get to the point where I can be consistently no more than 1 second off. So let me show you what I mean. Not that you're interested, but I have you here as a captive audience, so let's... Okay, let's do this on the fly. So just going to call this stats. This is why I needed to move to OBS, because add new window capture, rather than doing it straight from the graphics card, because in a window, world records, Google Chrome, there we go. And now let's edit scene. Now let's go to, first of all, sub region. We don't want all of. Oh wait a minute, why won't it? Whoa, okay, so there we go. Let's, what there? Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's just look at it as it is. Why on earth did that do that? See, you can see that I'm not a streaming genius, because, okay, I know what. That's what I did wrong. Let's take that, do that, and do that. And move that over here. And then let's take this and cancel it, change that. Properties, refresh, in a window, refresh. Set subregion, select. Hey presto, see? Bingo. So, and let's move it over here. Refresh it. Refresh. Wrong window, you muppet. Okay. We want this one. Do we? No. Okay. See, I'm going to give up on this because you've now realised why I'm such an amateur at this. Why is it picking up that window? Well, anyway, I'll show you in a second once I get it to work. Add window capture. Let's just leave it as window capture. World records. Come on. There you go. See, gosh, Mark, that was so hard. Edit scene. Let's move it over here. So, normally, so this is this week, and I'm in 50th position overall because Chad's got the fastest time of 1 minute 10. So I'm 1.4 seconds off his fastest time. He's qualified, well, he hasn't qualified yet, but he's in a 1:10.8 in the race. So where I want to be, well, Kurt Stenberg is 1 minute 11.1, so he's a second off Chad. That's not usual. Kurt's usually faster, and Andrew's done a brilliant time. And I would be aiming. See, John Emerson's got that's not right. Oh, that's more like it. 1:10. See, normally I would be happy being 1.5 seconds off because that's normally me hitting my ceiling. However, I want to be in here, the 1:11.1, and then, if possible, I want to break into the 1:10s, because then I'm less than a second off. And I feel like I've made progress, and that the endless hours I spend doing this haven't been a waste of my life. If I go to Oran Park and show you the equivalent, say Oran Park, I did a 1:69 and my optimal was a 1:63. So 1:63 would have put me 1 second exactly off Madison's practice time, bit off his qual, and it would have put me, if I'd have been 1 second, if I'd have done it, top 25. And that's what happens to me all the time. My optimal is good enough, let's go back a season, good enough to get me into the top 25. I'm just such an absolute muppet when it comes to putting the sectors together. I can never... Oh, it wasn't in the hole, you muppet. Let's go to the old Ford. I can never nail it. So, season 4, where did we race season 4? And let me show you a good example of where it just is ridiculous. So, classic. No, it was Cup, wasn't it? Cup. What's going on, Mark? Oh, do they not show up anymore? Oh, they probably don't show up anymore. But anyway, yeah, so that's my aim. My aim is to get to... get rid of that window now. Get to the point where I'm only a Marlin's in. Marlin's ridiculously fast. So I'd expect Marlin to come in here and do a 1:10. Oh, season 4 was the Holden, wasn't it? Okay, yeah, you're right. It was a short season. So thank you. See, that's why I need you lot, because I'm just hopeless. I would blame all sorts of reasons, like it being late and blah blah blah, and I probably need to go and eat something. However, let's see, season 4. Let's get that window back. Gets cup mark, not boots. Cup. Let's go to all in season 4. Where else did we race? I'm so stupid. Why don't I just go to the series stats? Let me get that window back for you. Where are we? OBS. Got more windows open on my desktop than... Okay, I don't even know how to finish that analogy. Window capture, let's not be in the window. Series stats, that's what we want. Do we need to select a sub-region? No, because it's working this time. Move it over here. See if Marlon said anything. No, okay. So you can see season stats. Good. So let me look there. So if we go back then to season 4, where did I finish? So in my division, I finished 14th. Boo. Overall, I finished. See, 52nd. So that's my barometer. I'm always around there. So if we were to look at qualifying, pick a track mark, pick a track. So I didn't do Okayama. I hate Okayama. I hate that track for passion. So Okayama, see, I qualified 79th, so the fastest time was a 1:30.492, and I did 79th. Wow, that's embarrassing. And I did a 1:32, so 2 seconds. 2 seconds off. So if we then look at Road Atlanta, I loved Road Atlanta. I don't know why, but Road Atlanta just works for me. It's a bit like here. And hey presto, I qualified 52nd. And I qualified 52nd, and what was Mitchell did a 1:18.5. I did a 1:20 dead. See, 1.5 seconds. If we then look, okay, Watkins Glen Classic. Why didn't that come up when I searched for it? Anyway, so Watkins Glen Classic. Watkins Glen is the Talladega of road. Everybody turns up. So I'm qualified 64th. Now, Ian did the fastest time of 1:06.8. Now, 64th, you'd expect me to be 1.5 seconds or something off. 1:06.8. I was less than a second off. I was almost an entire second. That's just because the ridiculous nature of the track is there's about one turn in the whole track, so you don't lose as much time through each turn. Then if you look at, where are we? Road America. I hate Road America. I shouldn't, but I do. Road America, see, 82nd, 2:06.1, and I qualified with, wow, we're digging in the basement to get to me, a 2:09. Wow. Did I say 2:06.1? Let's go back to the first. So 3 seconds. So I was 100% slower than I normally would be. And then, where did we go? We then went, Phillip Island. See, Phillip Island, this is where I decided I was going to try Phillip's oversteering like hell setup, which is the one I tried for Road America, but kept flying off the track. And, okay, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. But see, qualified 45th. Got inside the top 50. And 1:29.211, 1:30, so again 1.5 seconds. However, I think my optimal was a 1:29.2. No, 1:29 something, 1:29.5 or something like that. It was ridiculous. My optimal would have put me in the top 10. I just had no chance, and I don't think I did. Yeah, I didn't do the last week. I think I was somewhere else. Anyway, so enough of me going through memory lane and my stats and blah 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 blah. Let's get rid of that window. We don't need it anymore. So this is why I spend hour upon hour upon hour trying to get that 0.5 seconds. Wow, you didn't all leave. I thought that would have bored the hell out of you all. Just as I said, high alpha level, high quado flame, high Ishneri. So yeah, let me just try a few more laps and then I'm likely to call it a night, because I think I've been at my computer now for 8 hours, if not longer. My eyes are starting to water. The rest of the house is starting to go to bed. I'm starting to sound hoarse. There's cake I need to go and find to eat. I love that paint scheme, the Evolution Racing one. See, what I need to do in here is brake earlier, get off the gas, and find the apex, because I know exactly where I'm losing the time. And if you watch the lap, you'll see I'm losing the time. Well, for starters, through here, I should try and get more rolling momentum. Here, I need to squeeze a little firmer. Here, I'm going in too deep and staying on the brakes too long. I need to get the nose up there. And I'm braking too deep into the first turn as well. So pretty much everywhere.
Up, one off course, one off course.
Don't
Keep
come
coming.
on. Damn. I think I'd messed up that lap already anyway. Yeah, don't come left. The way I talk to the other cars is ridiculous. Okay, squeeze. I missed at least 3 apexes through there. See? Every time you hear the tyres scrubbing, I'm losing time, which I know you know already, but... Hey, Alpha Level. Hey, Blazing D. GovNet Posrenet. Wow. Sorry, I just butchered that. Yeah, if everyone's going to race it, the America's race will be on in about another hour and a half. Yeah, they don't broadcast the Thursday one, just the Friday one. Okay, we'll just go Gov. Okay, let me try one more. Actually, there's only 13 minutes in this session. I know I said I wasn't going. Actually, do you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind. Whoops, let's do 2 things that I wasn't going to do. One was I wasn't going to run this session into the end. I was going to go to bed, or at least watch some TV instead and give my eyes a break. However, what we'll do is we can finish the 14 minutes, or, which I definitely wasn't going to do. Yep, you guessed it, I just qualified for the registered for the qualifying session. So, whoops, I'm gonna get a black flag. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Car coming. See what I mean about all the cars on the pit lane obscuring the car that's actually on track when you look at F3. But yeah, I'm off my pace really. I should at least have done a 1:11.1 by now, or 1:11.2. But I haven't done anywhere near the number of laps I normally would have run during the week to be comfortable and on the pace. However, that being said, I was quite happy. So I'm getting stutters now. I think it's because I switched windows. It is. Okay. That should rectify itself when we close this and go to qualifying. But yeah, I was quite satisfied that quickly I at least got a 1:11.5, and then in the very first qualifying session I entered, I did a 1:11.5, which is rare. I never do that. So although I'm off schedule for the week so far, I kind of think, well, you know, it's damage limitation. Wow, look at those stutters. iRacing really can't handle switching windows, and considering I'm using full window rather than full screen, I would have thought it could have handled that. Get it to turn with the throttle mark, not the brake. Wow, okay, stuttery hell. Okay, let's try and force it. So let's click there and click back. Probably did nothing. 2 minutes to qualifying anyway. Yeah, it happened. It happened earlier. So what I'll do is I'll quit the stream and start it again when qualifying starts, which is about 2 minutes. Or I'll just do it now because even I can't cope with it. So let's go back here.